Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Squarespace. Use promo code TWiST10 when signing up to receive a 20% discount for 6 months. And GoToMeeting. Use promo code START to begin your free 30-day trial.
Hey, today on This Week in Startups, we've got Kevin Systrom. He is the co-founder of the awesome Instagram, which is taking off like a rocket. We're going to guess the fake startup from the real ones in that little segment everybody's talking about. And Tyler Crowley is going to drop some amazing insights. We hope all that and more right now on This Week in Startups.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hello everybody. Welcome to This Week in Startups. This is the program that we started just 196 episodes ago. Tyler, we've been doing this for 196 episodes. Can you believe it?
We're almost at 200?
I just looked up and it says 196. I never even considered that
we had the 100 episode one not that long ago.
Right, and the 2-year anniversary. My God, we're cooking with oil, and what fun we have on the show. It's the highlight of the week for us as the hosts of the program.
I like the new segments, the Guess the Startup.
Guess the Fake Startup is actually very entertaining for us. I don't know if it's entertaining for other people,
audience,
but we like it.
Playing
and
along
the other thing I'm really enjoying, I have to say, and I wasn't super enamored with it at first, is Chill. So I've been looking at Chill a lot. And Chill is a really interesting startup, chill.com. And they have really kicked Ustream and Justin's ass at the experience of live streaming with chat. You know, what Josh Harris did at Sudo and Jupiter Interactive, they've really perfected. And I don't know why I find the avatars and the bunch of avatars standing here behind that little fence. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see it on my screen. And I get all these people here, and they're all looking at me with those eyes. And it's like Children of the Corn or something. I don't know. I feel like these are like zombies or something. It's like 100 people in there, and it makes me want to increase my performance in the show. But it really is an interesting format. I notice people are hanging out in the This Week in chat room, but for a long time, like after the show is over. So hey, thanks to the chill.com folks for creating us a nice custom chat room. We even put, like, you notice this? They did a little custom work for us.
All the banners. And
on the banner, they put our logo, and they put Hiscox,
That's
Carbonite, MailChimp, GoToMeeting, all our great sponsors.
That's new today. See those little bubbles over their heads where they're typing?
No, that's been around.
That's today.
No, it's not.
I was with Brian and I were talking at midnight last night. He said tomorrow it's coming out.
No, wait, you mean the bubbles where it shows they're typing?
Yes.
No, that's been around.
No.
Brian's wrong.
Brian,
it's his company?
It's Brian.
I saw it like
Brian
a week
and
ago.
Dan is the company.
I know. It's really good. I think it has potential. Hey, if you have potential and you want to influence the show, like the 140 people who are on the TWiST list, go to twistlist.co and you can pledge your support to the program for anywhere from $2, $5, $10, $25, $100 a month, whatever you get out of this program. And we do 8 episodes per month, 2 a week. My God, that's a lot of show. And if you just pay like $1 or $2 or $5 a show, man, it really makes it easier for us to produce this show. And all the other good ones we're doing on the network. This Week in Web Design, This Week in Sales is a new show, This Week in Social Media, This Week in Music with Ian Rogers, who was the guest of the year on This Week in Startups.
You're not just supporting this show, you're supporting...
Listen, this is the hit show of the network, my show and Kevin's show. We all know that. And we're pulling the whole network along with us. But there are other shows like Pensado's, Place for music engineers, This Week in Venture Capital, Mark Suster, and now This Week in Music with Ian Rogers, that are really starting to catch up very quickly. We've done 196 episodes.
And Robert on social media.
He's only 3 or 4 episodes in, so he's got to build his audience. But boy, are things progressing with the network, and I'm really happy about that. And I'm very happy to announce that GoToMeeting is sponsoring the program. These guys are great. And if you want to have beautiful HD meetings and be taken seriously in business, use GoToMeeting. That's what I use for all my meetings. Use the promo code START and download the app from the App Store or the Android Marketplace. It works on your iPhone, works on your iPad. You can attend meetings on the go, in a taxi, waiting in the airport, anywhere. Just change the way you work and use this. And hey, congratulations to Alex Rogers, who is the winner of the MacBook Air contest.
Nice.
Yeah, from you, of all people.
And now, Alex, if you want my personal machine, you can have this one, and I'll keep the new one.
Also of note, on October 21st, next Friday, depending on when you're watching this, October 21st in Mountain View, we're holding a one-day event called the Launchpad event, which will be dedicated to tablets. Invited 200 developers to come for free, charge $50. Charge 50 people $1,000 to attend, you got a great event.
There's some really nice.
The textbook company, Evernote, all our people are coming to support it, and it's going to be 25 presentations, rapid fire, and what they've learned about the tablet ecosystem. So, I mean, we should have had Instagram there, but they don't have a tablet app, I don't think. Today's program is one the guest on today's program is tremendous. And oh, by the way, thank at GoToMeeting on Twitter or on Facebook or your Google Plus or whatever you use for your social media, because the advertisers love when that happens. What is that dinging sound? I think that means that does that mean new people in the chat room? Ding, ding.
I think that's the chill.
Oh, it's the chill room.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it is. It's the chill room going ding, ding, ding. So does that mean your volume's on? Maybe mine is. Whose volume is going ding, ding, ding?
Probably someone out there.
Somebody out there. Hey, guys, you may want to check that somebody's... Okay, it's gone now. So I have said for a long time, do not build a business off of another person's ecosystem, because you may get your ass kicked, just like I did with Google and the Panda update, crushing, obviously, and just made for the second or third most challenging year of my career. And I said very clearly, these photo startups that are piggybacking on Twitter are all going to fail, unless they provide some amazing, amazing value beyond just being, a place to, store photos because Twitter hasn't figured out yet. Well, this is the company that's done it. This is the company that's, to me, more interesting. I'm more interested in my Instagram feed. Mm-hmm. I check that first, then I check the Twitter feed, which is a big statement.
Wow.
I really enjoy the intimacy and the photography-based, the nature of Instagram.
That was part of the whole point behind color originally.
Was trying to make it visual because people love photos.
Yeah.
Tumblr, a lot of people are getting behind this concept of a path as well. Photos are a great starting point for a social network. Anyway, Kevin Systrom is on the program. He is the co-founder and CEO of Instagram, and they've had tremendous success. If you don't know about it, while you're listening to this program, go ahead and switch over and download Instagram. And I think it's only available for iPhone right now. I don't think they have the Android one out, which is like insane. But I've got to ask him about that. Hey, Kevin, welcome to the program.
Thanks very much for having me.
So Instagram has been a huge success. How many people are using Instagram every day?
It's a great question. So as of yesterday, I think we're inching upon 11 million users registered. We don't talk about daily or monthly, but I can tell you that it's a sizable portion of that.
Right.
The thing that excites me is every day that I wake up and I check my feed, new people from all over the world, whether it's the US, Japan, you name it, are signing up and sharing images of their lives.
And here's what it looks like for folks. Can we put on, which one is Tyler? Let's see, Tyler's computer. No. There we go, Instagram, boom. So maybe we can put the Instagram from my iPad next to Kevin. If you can put that side by side, if that's the high degree of difficulty on the TriCaster. But Kevin, I've got Instagram up, if you can see it. Walk us through the program here. You see all these beautiful photos from people. They all look very faded in some cases, or blurry, or sharp. But what is the basic premise behind Instagram, and why is it captured people's imagination so much when it seems so simple?
I think the thing to remember about Instagram is that we didn't start with Instagram. We started with an app called Bourbon. And it was actually a check-in app, a la Foursquare, Gowalla, you name it. And the whole idea was sharing what you were doing out in the real world as it happened. And what we quickly realized when we added the ability to post photos was that everyone using it loved the photos part. So what we ended up doing was we switched it and turned it to be a photos app that also let you check in. The instant we did that, we learned that people love sharing images of their life on the go. We have these devices now in our pockets that allow you to share little snippets of your life in a matter of seconds. And that was something that really, excited lots of people. On top of that, what we did was we built a series of 15 or so filters that take the image that you take on the iPhone and add tone or mood to it. And it was something Mike and I, my co-founder, did out of personal preference, frankly, because we're both photographers and wanted it built in. And it just turns out that millions of people wanted it as well.
So here I take a picture of Tyler, and then this beautiful, I just took a picture of Tyler, Amaro, Rise, Hudson, just so people can see, you pick these beautiful filters, and they have frames in some cases. In this case, for example, the Lomo-Fi. What does that mean, Lomo-Fi?
Lomo-Fi. Lomo is short for lomography, which is a movement in photography. And then Lomo-Fi was just the verb of Lomo. So
Yeah.
honestly, the names of the different filters are kind of random. And some of them are names that we picked as we were submitting to the App Store or while we were building the filters, just to give it a little personality and allow you to differentiate the different filters.
Yeah, and so I can also pick this filter with this little drop here, and I can pick a circle or a rectangle and put that on a person, like I could put it on Tyler's face, and pinch or expand to make, I guess, him the focal point and everything else blurry. What is that effect called?
Yeah, so it's known as tilt shift,
Tilt shift.
even though it's not actually tilt shift. A real tilt shift camera allows you to basically correct perspective and selectively focus in interesting ways. In the digital world, obviously, we don't have that type of control with a lens, but what it allows you to do is blur certain parts of the photo. So say, for instance, you want to focus on someone's face and have everything else be really blurry around it, you can do that. It's really popular to add kind of fake depth of field to photos. So for instance, food photography goes very well with the linear tilt shift option. It can allow you to make it seem like you're having a very narrow depth of field.
And then I, of course, can check in. I'm checking here at the Death Star, also known as my office. I can email it, which is a super cool feature because my mom's not on Instagram, but I like to email her stuff, and I can pick them and I can do Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Posterous, and you can check it on Foursquare. And then I'm done, and it uploads it, and then people can start commenting. You recently released the 2.0 of the product. How is that done?
Fantastically well. We actually, within an hour of launching it, we were a trending topic on Twitter, which is pretty awesome for 6 guys and a gal, sitting in an office here in San Francisco, working on a product that people really love and get very amped about. We've had some really interesting feedback, and honestly, there are some great parts about 2.0 and some parts that we fixed in 2.0.1, and also some parts that we're still continuing to fix. But what it really excites me is how we took filters that used to take 5 seconds to render and turned it into 5 milliseconds. I think it's magical.
Yeah, that is really one of the things I love is how snappy it is when you do the photos and the filters. Now, is Apple going to, or have they included these kind of filters native in the iPhone or iOS? Is that the rumor I've read?
Right. So I think the rumor on the street is actually not a rumor. It's confirmed. In the iOS SDK, the thing that we use to build apps, they added something called Core Image, which allows you to do lots of things to photos, not just filter, but sharpen, do all sorts of stuff. Basically putting an imaging toolkit in the hands of developers. And obviously you can create filters out of that. We actually elected to go kind of a step lower in the stack and write the stuff from scratch, which was no easy feat, I promise you. There were many sleepless nights getting what you use today working. And we're excited about lots of photo apps because frankly, as much as we're a filter app, we're very much a place where people go to share photos they've taken in other apps as well. And we want to encourage that. We don't need to be, the only filter app you use.
Currently, you have 6 or 7 employees and over 10 million registered users, putting you at somewhere 1.5 million registered users per employee. What is the story? You've raised $7.5 million and you only have 6 or 7 employees, and you have this ridiculous number of users per employee. Why are you going so slow in terms of hiring a staff? We hear of all these other companies, who have a tenth of the success you have hiring 50 people. What's the story?
I mean, I guess I would say it goes to show that you don't need a lot of people to do big things, right? And I feel extremely lucky to have the team that I have. They're fantastically talented, and we work our butts off. And there are 2 questions in there. One is, why aren't we more than 6 people? I'd answer that in saying I think we're trying, really hard to hire the best in the world, and you don't come across those every day. We interview, 60, 70 people a week on the phone and talk to lots of people. And I think what we're trying to do is grow the team in the correct way not necessarily in the typical .com way, which is to staff up really quickly without regard to culture and to, understanding how the team is going to grow. That being said, your second question was about how, small teams can accomplish big things. You've seen this with other companies as well. Don't forget that, Facebook has a very good ratio as well of engineers to users. So it's not uncommon to see engineering teams stay lean.
Yeah, but perhaps too lean. People have been complaining nonstop about there not being an Android client. Have you come out with the Android client, and what's the story there?
Right, so there's no Android client yet, but it's actually interesting. One of our engineers today is at an Android conference talking to lots of Android engineers. So we're certainly, Android is on the top 3 list of things to do in the coming, year. I won't say when it will launch, but I will say that at some point we will have an Android app, and that's definitely underway. The big focus for us is also web. We don't have a website yet either. Some of this is staffing constraints, and some of it is simply we're trying to stay up with the amount of traffic we get from iOS alone.
And I guess you're falling into some of the same issues of success that Twitter had, and you were part of Obvious Corporation and Odeo, I guess, early on. I'd love to hear about that a little bit. But they couldn't keep Twitter up and running, so there were no features on Twitter for a year or two.
Right. Yeah, we actually aren't falling into the trap of scalability downtime, I'll call it. We are very rarely down for good, but that means, we do spend lots of sleepless nights keeping stuff running. We've been very lucky to have a team that can manage this stuff. I'll also say that things like Amazon Web Services and the technologies that we're allowed to use now that they didn't have back then really allow for startups, I think, to scale to a much higher level without having a larger team.
So in terms of the Android app, do you think it's possible it would come out this year, or is it more likely next year?
I'll say within a year. Obviously, I'm not going to keep people waiting 12 months if I'm in control. We're trying as hard as we can to make it work. And honestly, I'm excited because we all have Android phones in the office now. We're playing with stuff. We're actively working on it. And we're really excited to get that out as soon as possible, but no timing.
Android versus iOS, we see that Android is outpacing the number of iOS handsets released, but we see that iOS is a greater percentage of usage, and obviously monetization is much better. You guys are pre-monetization, but which ecosystem do you think is going to become more important to startups in the future? Android or iOS?
It's a really tough question. For us, the reason why we chose iOS was because we all had iPhones, and frankly, the camera was pretty awesome, and we're all just a big fan of what Apple does, and it was part of our culture. At the same time, the SDK at the time that we started was also very, very developed. That gap is starting to diminish, and I think that you're starting to see better and better phones on Android. You have to remember, though, even though Android may be activating more phones in aggregate, a smaller percentage of that aggregate are, smartphones that are equivalent of the iPhone 4 and above. And what we're seeing is, like I said, a diminishing of that gap between the phones. And that's why we're so excited to be working on Android in the future.
And what about monetization? We see Path, Dave Moran's company, very, very smart guy. He started selling the filters for 99 cents. I bought a couple of them. Are you guys actually thinking of becoming a real business and charging for the product?
So I don't think we'll ever charge for the product itself. I could say, obviously, there are things we're thinking of charging for in the future as far as premium services go. But really, our focus is in growth right now, both in team and in usage and user base, right? There's no need for us to stop and start charging 99 cents for a filter because, frankly, we don't believe that's the largest business in the world. So we want to build the platform upon which we can discover a really awesome business model. And the cool thing about what we're doing currently is how even organically brands are starting to sign up. The Kate Spades of the world, the Banana Republics, there are swaths of folks signing up day by day that have these brands. And we're excited about the opportunity to create the tools and the audience for them, to spend in social media.
So does that mean the future is maybe Good Morning America or one of these brands, Kate Spade or Target, paying for some promotion within the platform, or maybe having some metric tools, or perhaps even the ability to put a link on their photo?
Right. So I don't think I can comment as to specifics, because I think that a lot of the talks we're doing internally right now are exploring all of those things that you mentioned. But that being said, I don't think we've landed on one or two that we're going to start with. Right now, it's like there are certain things about the product, like we don't have an Android app and we don't have a website, that are far more pressing in my mind than, say, charging 99 cents for a filter.
The web is such a big, ugly, open mess, and it's so crowded. Why would you spend any time working on the web when you are a leader in the mobile space? Would it not be a strategy, and does your board and your investors and the team say, forget the web, just jettison it, let people look at the photos there and sign up, but the mobile is the future and we better be all in there and not waste any time on the web?
Yeah, and to be fair, that's what we've done so far, right? So, the web is not necessarily a medium that we're looking to have be a production center. It's more like an exploration center. We're so constrained in the palms of our hands with the small screen that we want to be really good at production, on the mobile phone. But when it comes to the web, you can imagine being able to browse through your history of photos or browse through what happened in San Francisco a year ago, right? That's the stuff that we want to enable in a browser experience on the web that just simply isn't as easy in the mobile phone context. And that's why, I don't see web as a parallel to our mobile experience, but instead an orthogonal one that allows for a richer experience of exploration.
What impact will tablets have on Instagram? I mean, is there some amazing thing that tablets would allow you guys to do that you can't currently do with an iPhone?
Well, I think the biggest part of tablets is that they're portable, right? And I think web and tablet, what our experience will be on web and tablet is probably pretty similar. We're not focused on tablet as a strategy right now, simply because most tablets don't have cameras, although the iPad, does now. And in fact, I see a lot of people who don't have iPhones using the iPad. It always surprises me to see people in a coffee shop browsing Instagram on an iPad. It's an awesome experience, and I think we'll get there eventually. But for us, really, tablet would be about exploration, I think, and the fact that it's tied to you being in a place like a cafe or somewhere out and about, we can really, work geolocation into that and show photos around you, let you explore the world in a new way.
Okay, the chat room is exploding with questions for Kevin. This is one of the most loved products of the moment.
Good one just came up. Brian from Chill was just asking, would Kevin ever think about going into video?
Well, before we answer that question, that is a very important question. I want to do the commercial break.
Are we doing a cliffhanger?
We're going to do a cliffhanger. We have to keep the audience tuned in. So when we come back, we want a definitive answer from Kevin. Kevin's polished in terms of his answers. I'm trying to tease some information out of here so I can get at least one good hook for the show, and maybe video will be it. I have a feeling he's going to tell us his thoughts on videos when we get back. Also, I want to hear about being an intern at Odeo, the failed podcasting startup by Evan Williams and Biz and everything, and how that led to Instagram and Twitter, because he's got the inside details on that. And one thing need to know the inside details on is Squarespace. Squarespace. This is the best place you could be if you want to start a website. 24-hour support for creating beautiful, professional-looking websites. It's what I use myself. Again, I just found out we're sold out for the rest of the year. So if you want to buy advertising on this weekend, we'll talk to you next year. In fact, you're going to have to talk to us now for next year. We're so lucky that we don't have to accept ads except from the best products, which means I can read this ad and it's not an ad, because if my mom called me or my cousin called me.
You had
exactly family members.
It wasn't. Yeah, I think it was a cousin.
Cousin, yes. And anyway, they asked me how should I build my website, and I'm like, this is what happens every Thanksgiving, and you have the same experience, I believe.
Oh, here it comes too. We're in that season.
Oh God, it's that season where you go home and you see your family, and then they ask you to build their website or fix their Twitter account. And it used to be 5 or 10 years ago, it was take the viruses off their computer.
And now you can do it over Thanksgiving dinner.
And now you can do it while watching football and drinking beer and stuffing. Before the turkey is sliced, pop out your laptop and make a website for one of your family members and show them how quickly they can get their business online. And it's super cheap. It's like $5, $10, $15 a month. There's all these, it's just beautiful and buttery, fully featured iPad app. Blogs, photo galleries, large and small businesses alike love Squarespace, and I love it, and I use it. I'm a paying customer, and I was a paying customer long before they ever became a sponsor.
That's true.
And the way they became a sponsor
I had 3 accounts.
3 accounts. Anyway, if you would like to get one of these beautiful This Week in Startups bags, show the messenger bag, please. Thisweekin.com. Actually, you know what? You don't have to show it. I have it right here. This is the beautiful This Week in messenger bag. You can't see, but it has this beautiful engraving on here. It's very subtle, and that bag is only available to people who sign up for Squarespace. So go to thisweekin.com. Just go to Squarespace and forward your receipt to contests@thisweekin.com. Contest@thisweekin.com, and then we send you one of these bags, and I fill it with a bunch of stuff too. Like, sometimes I have some mugs that are extra or hats. Thank you so much to Squarespace. Most importantly, for making a product that has never failed me.
You know what I was going to say?
It has never gone down. And when I wrote my Bitcoin piece and all that stuff on launch.is, it exploded. There were like literally 10 or 15,000 concurrent users.
Yeah.
It didn't.
I got TechCrunched and it didn't phase it.
I was on Slashdot, which was sending 10,000 people concurrent. I mean, Slashdot is still this like huge driver of traffic, and Slashdot, TechMeme, and Hacker News could not take down Squarespace.
It doesn't even phase it, yeah.
Doesn't even phase us. What a great product. Thank you at Squarespace. Okay, back to the program. Kevin, you heard the question. Video. Are you opposed to video, or do you like video?
I love video. It's just not right for Instagram at this moment, and here's why. Mobile phones, as exciting as they are, the networks upon which they're built, the 3Gs, the edges of the world, doing video really well in a way that is, Instagram snappy and quick is simply just a tough problem, and one that we want to face and work on in the future. But what the problem is now is that you just don't have the networks to support a great experience. That being said, I think that'll change in the coming years. And frankly, I'm excited about video. I don't see a future where video isn't part of Instagram in some way. It's a matter of when. And how cool would it be to, filter your videos of, when you're out and about and share that moment with someone where it's moving video instead of just a still picture. I think it would be really cool.
Yeah, so clearly video will be in Instagram. It's a no-brainer. And I guess the issue really is filters. Filters on video also crush the processor in addition to crushing the bandwidth. Is the processor an issue right now?
It isn't, actually. Now with the new way we're doing it, it wouldn't be. We'd be able to do it. And the second thing I'd say is with the iPhone 4S, there's actually a dual-core graphics processor. So you'd be able to do things like that much more easily. So, keep an eye out for it. It's something we'll consider, and I won't promise it anytime soon, but I'm excited about video in the future.
Yeah, and I've been using Pat's product, which does short 10-second videos that you can put in old-fashioned mode. And it does have problems. You can't upload when you're on 3G typically. It drains your battery, storage issues. But when it does work, it is beautiful. Let's talk about the iPhone 4S for a second. 1 million sold in the first day compared to 600,000 of the iPhone 4, which was a much more revolutionary product in terms of design.
Yeah, but that was on one carrier at the time.
And it was on one carrier, so clearly carrier is playing a part there. But how big is this the most important update to the iPhone line because of this A5 processor?
I think two things happened. Well, actually, let me back up and say it's one of the most important updates for Instagram since the iPhone 4, right? When Instagram launched, the iPhone 4 had just come out, and we had this gorgeous Retina display, and we had this gorgeous camera, right?
Right.
They just upped the two things that we need most, which is more graphics processing with the A5 processor, and specifically the GPU, not the CPU. And that I don't think is considered the A5. There's a separate processor that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
And then number two, the 5-component lens. I'm really excited to see what kind of photos you can post. Phil Schiller actually yesterday was using Instagram and posting teaser photos with the iPhone 4S. And people were asking him, is that the iPhone 4S? And he was commenting to people, absolutely. So it works with Instagram, and we're excited to see everyone have it.
Phil Schiller is, in fact, on Instagram, and I follow him, and we've traded photos back and forth and everything. And he is an incredibly active user. What is your relationship with Apple? Do you get early access to the products? Are you under NDA? Do they call you and say, hey, come up? What is the relationship for an all-star app like yourself? You're one of the 10 most important apps, I would think, to them. Do they reach out to you and communicate with you on a daily basis or weekly basis?
We contact them just like any other developer. And frankly, if it's one thing Apple's been really good at, it's been, treating developers equally. And we go through all the same channels everyone else does. And every now and then we'll have, an urgent request because of a bug or something. And they're very responsive, which is great. But, our relationship with them has been a relationship, which is, one of mystery, but also of intrigue. And we're really excited about everything Apple's, done so far. And we're excited to see what they do going forward.
One of the criticisms of Apple has been very closed ecosystem, waiting a week to be approved, all of these kind of things. As a premier app developer, isn't the constraint and the filtering and the curation of the App Store a net benefit to you because you're making high-end stuff and you don't have to compete like you do in the Android App Store with all the noise?
There are a lot of apps in the App Store. I don't know how many, but lots, right? And if you count how many, filter apps there are and photo social networks, there are a lot as well. I think the one thing that allows Instagram to stand out is that, you and I can chat about it with our friends and we're all using it. Network effects are starting to be a big deal with Instagram. And there is, a lot of noise on other platforms, but I'd say on Apple as well. The curation actually is more... I think helps startups because you can get promoted early on. We were featured in the App Store our third week out. Quora, our friends at Quora, just got featured their first week out. Lots of great things happen to developers that put in the time and effort to build a polished product.
What happens when you get featured? Is it thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of downloads for a free app?
Yeah, it can be hundreds of thousands, right? Like
Wow.
when we were featured, it was a long time ago. I don't actually remember the exact numbers, but we saw like a 2x increase in the amount of signups per day, and that was already on top of an extremely high amount, right? We sign up, roughly on the order of one user every second or every other second, depending on what time of day. And when we were featured, it was just like that. So we're now organically at the rate, which is awesome. But it's been a long time since we were featured, and I'm excited to see it happening to our friends at Quora and Orchestra and all these really cool apps that people have put a lot of hard work into.
Actually, here is Phil Schiller's. Thank you for doing that, Tyler. Here is Phil Schiller from Apple. He's a guy you see on stage a lot. He's really into cars, and here he is. Well, actually, he showed me this one. This is the paper camera, and so I've been doing this as well, using paper camera. Then I import from paper camera, which does these beautiful sketches, into Instagram, and then I put an Instagram filter on, and I found out about it from him. And I guess this is a photo right here from it, although it's hard to tell because he does so many filters. But this must be a 4S. Yep. This person's asking, so this was definitely a 4S. Wow, look at that, huh? Look at the detail level on that. I guess it's hard to see on the stream, but it is definitely significant. Kevin, many pundits said when Twitter got their act together and finally supported photos, that would be the death knell of all of these third-party photo companies, including your own, including TwitPic. And you know what? It's been pretty bad for TwitPic and some of the other ones, but it hasn't been bad for you. You guys have continued to grow. Why didn't Twitter's photo inclusion in their app kill Instagram?
I never think it was their purpose to do that. Like, I think what they wanted to do was allow people to upload photos really easily and post them to Twitter, which is an experience I think Instagram highlighted, right? Their focus on photos and integration into Twitter.com has actually made the Instagram experience even better because now you can see your most recent Instagram photos on your Twitter page in the image gallery. It's clear that dedication to a media experience means it's better for any third party like us on that platform. And I think that's really what they're focused on. I don't think their goal is to, supplant anyone.
Okay, so clearly Twitter is not scary for a small startup, medium size. Well, you're small in terms of numbers of people, but you're huge in terms of number of users. But Facebook is another story. They are 80 times bigger than you. they have a CEO who is absolutely willing to steal every innovation you have and put it into their product. And in fact, Mark Zuckerberg is copying every single feature that you do. And he's putting in filters. What impact will Facebook stealing all of your innovations have on your business?
To be fair, filters aren't something that we thought up. Like the Hipstamatic guys did it really well before, and Camera Bag did it really well before that. Filters are nothing new to the ecosystem, and it makes total sense that a company would want to build filters in. I think the defensible asset that Instagram has, and I'm not so sure that it's positioned against Facebook anyway, because we get along really well with those guys, is our community. And it's the fact that you can follow anyone you want. Like you said, if you're not friends with Phil Schiller on Facebook, it would be hard to see those photos otherwise. And frankly, the open ecosystem of Instagram really mirrors that of Twitter.
Oh, no.
But it's a different interest graph. It's in photos and images of daily life.
Facebook.
Did I break up?
Yeah, just for a second, but we heard it. Facebook tried to buy you guys this summer. You said no.
Right.
That's a tough thing for a founder, and I'm sure you have a co-founder. Early on, you probably could have made enough money to be set for life many times over. Why did you turn down Mark Zuckerberg's offer?
The implicit assumption there is that actually happened. So there are a lot of rumors going around, and I won't be one to validate anything like that. But what I will say is that we're focused on building a long-term business, and like you alluded to early on, our goal is to be a big business and is to figure out how to make money off this thing and grow it to millions of users, and that's what we're focused on, not necessarily the quick flip to make a buck as a founder.
What's the hardest part and most challenging part of running your business today?
The hardest part, of startups in general are how much work they take, and I hope in hiring more people, I think we'll be able to scale that out. But I don't foresee it being any easier going forward. The hardest part on top of that is just being, resolute and figuring out how to stick with your gut and stick with your vision. Among lots of people that have told us in the past that photos wasn't something we should do, right? So sticking with that and making sure that you always follow up on what you set out to do, I think is one of the hardest parts as a founder.
Every single, I see it all the time, but people are complaining now that just like Groupon had so many copycats, now Instagram has just been flooded, the market's been flooded with people copying what you're doing. Does that affect what you're doing in any way? Does it cause noise? Does it cause annoyance? Does it just make it better because everybody says, oh, that's an Instagram knockoff and it's flattery? Does it personally bother you? How do you deal with these dozens and dozens of actually funded Instagram competitors? And I'm not talking about kids making stuff at home. I'm talking about funded, venture-backed competitors. How do you reconcile all of this noise?
Yeah, I think we focused on it a lot early on, and we were worried about it. And we said, these guys launched and these guys launched. And at the end of the day, we realized that our biggest competitor is ourselves. And if we keep moving at the rate we're moving, we need to, keep ahead of, getting excited about the fact that we have 11 million users, right? We need to be 10x that, 20x that to have an interesting business. So at the end of the day, we try not to focus on external folks, and we try to focus on what we do well, which is photos and Instagram. Like, we keep building the product that we want to build, and we hope that others come along for the ride.
Let's talk about the funding environment up there. It's pretty crazy, and it's quite a distraction. You guys have raised actually a modest amount of money, I believe, $7.5 million or something to date. And Benchmark, Bill Gurley's firm, is one of the top tier ones. How do you deal with all the noise of just so much money being around especially for a successful startup? Regular startups have a ton of offers. You're uber successful. You must have people, VCs, banging down the door every week, begging you to take their money. And you guys haven't done a monster round like Airbnb has or other folks, that, to my knowledge. What's it like in this funding environment? Is it hard to keep the team from getting so distracted?
It can be a distraction, and I think what we're focused on internally, and we've talked to each other about this, is building product. If in the future we decide to raise money, I hope that it's a quick and painless process. but it never is. It always takes weeks. And frankly, at the end of the day, when you're 3 engineers like me, Shane, and Mike, you need to be focused on what matters and fixing the things that matter, and keeping the site up. And that's what we're focused on. But I could imagine for lots of startups, it's a very distracting ecosystem. And you need to make sure to raise for a reason. And we raised $7 million from Benchmark because we wanted to take the initial success we had and scale it out. And that pays for the servers. It pays for us to come to work every day. And it'll continue to do that for the foreseeable future.
Tell me about was it an internship at Odeo, the podcasting startup that Ev and Biz and Jack did, and Obvious Corporation, I guess after Blogger but before Twitter. When did you sign on board for that, and were you an intern or an employee?
I was I was an intern and an employee, though I didn't take any stock, unfortunately. I think they converted it into Twitter stock at some point. But honestly, I did that because I knew Ev's background at Blogger, and I was a big fan. And I, kept emailing him asking for an internship, and then finally he gave in. And I still remember coming in the first day and feeling like it was something new and different, and I was going to learn about working at a startup. And the stuff that I did that summer, never really made it live, but we had a great time. And it was when I met Jack and Biz and Ev, and those guys have remained friends since. And they've been, influential and essential in us starting Instagram.
And why do you think Odeo was just such a disaster of a startup and didn't really, and Ev was so quick to pivot out of it?
It's a hard question, but all I can say is, podcasting, maybe it was ahead of its time, or maybe it just wasn't right. I think they took a big bet on a new communications medium. It turned out not to be the right communications medium, and Twitter did, right? So at its base, they really kept the DNA of the company. They just had a different outward appearance. And I think that allowed them to focus on the problems that really mattered in the world. And every startup goes through that, right? Like we had Bourbon before we did Instagram, and that didn't really work out either. So I think the lesson I've learned is that you need to make sure to always cut what doesn't work, cut the stuff that isn't popular, and focus on continually improving your product and your focus. And I think that's what they did.
And do you feel your ability to pivot out of Bourbon and into Instagram, the commodified check-in business, to the just really early days of photo sharing and this sort of photo, I don't know what to call this category, but it's really this sort of photo porn, like this, maybe that's the wrong word, but this sort of just obsession people have with making beautiful photos. Do you feel watching Ev and Jack and Biz pivot Odeo made it easier for you to pivot Bourbon?
Definitely. I wasn't there for the decision to go from Odeo to Twitter. I remember hearing tangentially about it after my internship. But what I can say is that, you can name the lists of really successful startups, PayPal, YouTube, right, that have all done something different initially and ended up in a very different world. I mean, when I give talks, often I'll talk about YouTube and show as in their home screen like 4 years ago or whenever it was, and there were a dating service, right? Like companies go through identity crises and they figure themselves out over time. But I think it's all about keeping what sticks and throwing away what doesn't.
Brian from the chat room, we'll take a couple questions from the chat room. Brian asks, what software service does the Instagram team use internally? I guess that means what is it built on? Okay.
I think we're having a connection issue.
Yeah, a little bit.
There?
Yeah, you're coming back. So did you hear the question? What is Instagram built on? Some technical issues. Any other questions from the chat room while we get the technical issues worked out?
Not for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have been covering it.
Check. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Sorry about that. Okay, there you are.
No problem. Stop downloading BitTorrent in the background, Kevin.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Stop downloading Hulu in the back. Are you doing Netflix in the background while you're talking to us? So the question is, what is the stack? What is Instagram built on? Are you using EC2? Is it LAMP? What's going on behind the curtain, and why?
Yeah, so we use EC2 mostly for its flexibility. We're able to spin up new machines at a moment's notice when we need to. Initially, we were not. We were on a single box in a data center somewhere, and that lasted all of like 3 days. So we use EC2. Most of our code is written in Python for the back end. We use PostgreSQL for our database, Memcache, Redis, lots of cool, interesting technologies. They've started to sprawl a bit. We've had to use lots of little technologies to solve very specific problems of our stack. But it's one of the interesting things about being an engineer here, if you're interested in working at Instagram, is you get to touch so many different things. So it's definitely an opportunity for people.
And you have hired so slowly, and you've added, well, you haven't added any other platforms yet. You seem so diligent about maintaining the culture. What specifically are you looking for in terms of culture for a new member, the 7th or 8th member of Instagram?
Yeah, so smart folks, that's all we care about. You don't need to know the language that we work in. Obviously, you have to be an engineer. But the thing we're looking for most is that intellectual curiosity that says, I want to learn new stuff. And that's what Mike and I and Shane are like. And if you're like that, you'll love working here. And I think the opportunities to do that are great here.
How do you interview for smart? I mean, can you unpack that a little bit? Do you have any techniques do you use to determine if somebody is smart? I mean, it seems so broad.
Yeah, really, I look for passion, and I think smart people are passionate people. When you ask them about what they're really good at and what they're really passionate about, usually they can explain it in a way that makes you get inspired about something, whether that's about cocktail making or cooking or coding. Like, smart people have passions in life, and that's really what I look for.
So a well-rounded person, if they're obsessing about their espresso machine and the particular type of tapper they have in the grinder, and is it a burr grinder, maybe that's a tell that the person's really diligent and would be a fit.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we go into technical stuff as well, right? So we'll ask technical questions. We're not into brain teasers or anything like that. We just want to work through problems with people. And that's really what matters at the end of the day, is if you can sit down with someone and work through a tough technical problem together.
Yeah. Kevin, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing everything about Instagram, and I look forward to having coffee with you sometime when I'm in San Francisco. If somebody is brilliant and wants to work there, Kevin@Instagram.com, I'm guessing?
Absolutely. Send me a note.
And in that note, being short and concise and to the point and maybe listing your skills would be a good idea.
I think a resume would be even better. So,
and a resume, yes.
But yes, absolutely.
And now's a good time to get in. I'm guessing this is the time where you can get a decent amount of stock. If you wait till like next year, I think it's going to be half the amount. You got to get in right now. If you're a brilliant engineer and you're at Google or Facebook,
the first 10, yeah.
You want to be one of the first 10 employees. That's pretty special. So get in there now, because he's going to hire 3 people this weekend. Kevin, thanks so much for being on the program. And you're at Kevin on Twitter, and I'm at Jason. So I think every day
Kevin on Twitter.
We should just tweet each other every day something, just to like show off like that we have our first names, to be like, hey, what's up, Kev? And then you could be like, hey, what's up, Jason? And then you could say, hey, have you seen Ryan or Veronica? And then, like, we just, all the first name people should just taunt the rest of the Twitterverse with that. People must get furious. Like, does Kevin Rose hate you for having at Kevin?
Kevin and I actually have an interesting history, because at one point he wanted to buy the name off me, and this was before we knew each other professionally. So I give him crap every time we see each other. We're good buddies now.
How much did he offer you?
Yeah, I definitely flaunt it.
How much did he offer you?
Undocumented.
Come on. He offered you a G? $1,000 or more?
No comment.
Oh, come on. This isn't easy. I'm not asking you when you're going to launch the Android client now. We all know Kevin. How much?
Listen, if you go back in Twitter history, it's a public tweet, so I'll leave that as a research project.
Oh, we have to look that up. All right, Kevin. I will see you on Twitter, and hopefully we'll get coffee sometime soon. What a great guest he was, huh?
Yep.
Awesome. I was going to have him do the chart of the week, and I was going to have him do Guess the Fake Startup, but I felt like I wanted to get more out of him and just have him talk about what an amazing startup it is. And it's very interesting. He's going so slow. People are going nuts. When are you going to have Android? When are you going to have Android?
Yeah.
Their service would be 5 times bigger if they had Android, I believe. Because there's so many more Android.
5 times bigger?
Double. Triple. Because I think it would triple.
Why?
Because of the network effect. Right now, there's, I guess, 2 or 3 Android phones for every one iOS phone, right? 2 for every one, let's say.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think there's 2 for every one. And there's many more being activated every day. So what that means is, that 2/3 of the universe, or whatever it is. I mean, Apple may be only like 25% of the smartphone universe and of human beings, in the United States. So how everybody can't participate, therefore you don't get the network effects. So every time you add a person, right, the network becomes exponentially more valuable, or some percentage more valuable. That is the definition of the network effect, is that it becomes much more valuable, more so than just the more so than the actual number of people being added, because the network effect is, right? So if we add Kirin to the two of us, now we both have added a connection. It's not one more connection, it's two more connections, and so on and so on and so on. It's like you're missing huge swaths of your family and friends.
But it seems like
it's right now it's a subset of the entire ecosystem.
Isn't the discoverability of Instagram and distribution of Instagram is initially most people's interaction is through Twitter, and if that's the case, what percentage of iPhone app users are Twitter users versus Android users? Probably 2 to 1.
I don't know that, but
I think it's 2 to 1 on that.
No, I don't think so. And the other thing is, it's probably 50-50, but anyway, the other thing is, it's true iPhone users are much more active. The other thing is, the cameras on Android are better than this camera. There's so many more hardware options, so you would get better photos too in some cases, and members of my family or friends can't participate yet, and that's why people are going crazy. But I do respect them for keeping the team small and only adding people slowly. But if it was me, I would be like, I'll raise $50 million and I'm hiring 50 people. Let's go. I would go crazy. But I mean, it's such restraint. I respect that.
Twitter was pretty restrained as well early on.
Twitter was a disaster because they couldn't keep the servers up and running. I mean, at least these guys are doing EC2 and putting it in the cloud, knowing that they're never going to be able to keep up with this hyper growth. Okay, let's do we'll just do the fake startup between the two of us. Heads up, Tyler versus Jason.
All right.
We're ready. Hi, Kirin.
So-
Scores 1-0, by the way.
All right, so here we go.
Okay, you guys ready?
We're ready.
All
Let's do
right.
the 3 fake startups.
3 startups, one of which is fake, 2 of which are real. Okay, first one is altodot.com. Our product will make it easy for you to increase your fans and followers on Facebook and Twitter by delivering turnkey applications that will increase conversion rates and sustained engagement.
And the name of the company is?
Altodot.
Altodot.
Yeah, I knew I shouldn't have given away the tip on the name. Now he's all hyper-focused on the name.
Altodot. Altodot, and it helps you build your follower base, you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay, next one.
Okay, the next one is Fstfrwrd.com without the vowels. Launch our app.
Wait, FSTF.
RWRD.
Oh my God. Okay, Fstfrwrd.com without the vowels. Got it.
Launch our app when you get in your car for real-time crowdsourced driving condition updates delivered directly to your smartphone, then read aloud to you.
Okay. So that's real-time driving conditions, sort of like the Dash or Waze. Okay.
Okay, and the last one is AskVisory.com.
AskVisory.
Yes. We enable experts to socially network by telephone while also allowing industry leaders to sell their knowledge through paid telephone consultation appointments.
Okay, so that would be like expert exchange or something like that. You get to ask questions. Tyler, would you like to go first?
Can you read the first one again, please?
Sure.
Altodot.
Altodot. Our product will make it easy for you to increase your fans and followers on Facebook and Twitter by delivering turnkey applications that will increase conversion rates and sustained engagement.
That is a terrible description. It must be real. It's just so bad.
I think I know the answer.
All right, give your answer. You want to do a blind?
I want to do blind, yeah.
Okay, blind. Heads up blind. Okay, here we go. Here.
And I want to see people in the chat room what they think it is.
Don't look at there. Don't look at them
They
because
can
they might be
cheat.
looking. They can cheat
How can they cheat?
because they can be typing in the search
Oh,
for
right.
cheater.
Oh.
La da da.
I'm sorry, what are the options
Da
again?
da da da. Altodot helps you increase your follower count. Fast forward without the vowels is a ripoff of Waze. It will give you driving instructions. AskVisory.
Oh, wait, I need this.
Is a place where you can ask questions and, like Expert Exchange, pay for an expert to give you an answer. Yes. Tyler, go.
One second.
3.
Altodot.
Fast forward or AskVisory. Come on. Write it down.
I think
You want to go 20?
$20, you mean?
$20. No, wait. It could be, how about $20 to the winner? Okay. Oh, yeah. $20 to the winner. $20? $20 for the square draw. You want to go 20?
Yeah, we'll do 20.
All right, put the 20 on the table.
I don't know. Let's see if I have it.
You better have it. You gotta have the money, man. You can't be making bets without money. 20's on the table, baby. Wait, should it go in the jar or should the winner just take it? Let's just bet heads up, straight up. It shouldn't go in the jar. $20, heads up. Here we go.
No, I don't have a 20.
All right. You have it. I can hear the money.
They're ones.
All right, but you're good for 20?
No, I don't have it.
You're chickening out?
What am I going to do? Go to the bank? It's going to be more of a hassle to go to the bank to get the 20.
You could give it to me on the next show.
No.
Let's go, $20.
If I had it on me, I would bet it.
Okay, so what? You bet it. You're good for it. IOU. I'll take an IOU.
All right.
$20. I'm putting mine on the table. So if you win, you get the 20. If not, I get an IOU.
Alto dot.
Fast forward without the vowels. Advisory. I'm gonna
Okay.
$20. All right.
Okay.
Turn it over.
I'm sticking.
Turn it over.
All right.
Fast forward.
Fast forward is made up.
Fast forward. We both said fast forward, and that's the winner.
That is the fake. We both win. Who wins?
So easy. So easy. So easy. Come on. Come on. It's so easy. Look at poor Carolyn is like, damn it.
Yeah.
So easy. Tell them why.
Partly the name, partly the description. Mm-hmm. Definitely the third one was definitely real.
Advisory is real.
That was so. The last one was so clearly real.
Yes.
That was the easy. That was the gimme.
This is like going. This is why I was such an overachiever in school in terms of tests, but not in terms of in class, right? Because it's so easy if you know how to use process of elimination. You can increase your chances. Right now, you have a 1 out of 3 chance, but you know Altadot is so bad that it's real, and you know, so now you're down to a 50-50. You're a coin toss because you know Altadot's got to be real, and Askvisory is also so great it's got to be real.
For me, Askvisory was the gimme that it was real.
It's so good, and it's so real. And then fast forward, to me, sounds like a constructed company because I use Waze, W-A-Z-E, on my iPhone all the time. Waze shows you real traffic directions as you go, and you can report police. And then when you get to the part of the road where the police are, you can say if the police are there or not. It prompts you. It's sick. And it was like the Dash, which got bought by RIM, which was this awesome GPS unit I had, which would show you live traffic, and it would send your speed up to their server and then map you and other people on the map. And Waze, if you haven't seen it, does that. And you can see in LA, there's 25 people using it on the west side. So when you go to the 405 or the 10, you can see how fast it's going if it's a dead stop. And people take pictures and say, dead stop. It's incredible. It's going to change traffic patterns forever. And so I just thought, fast forward, that's exactly like Waze. It's got to be a copy, which actually made me think it was real. But the domain name made me think it's not real. But the information I just gave is just to confuse Carolyn, by the way, so that I can get her next time. There's all levels of playing this game. So what I've just done is
there's also a hint in the description that it was the...
Let me read the description.
The fast forward description?
Yeah, please.
Launch our app when you get in your car for real-time crowdsourced driving condition updates delivered directly to your smartphone, then read aloud to you.
What was the?
You want me to give it away?
Crowdsourced? Was it crowdsourced?
You want me to give it away again?
Yeah. That's it.
Read them either one of the other two.
Well, the other two are incomprehensible, and this one is so well written.
No. There's a very key difference in the way that it's written.
Delivered to you. All right, read me the Alto.
Altodot, our product will make it easy for you.
It's first person versus second person? Is it like our product versus this product?
It's active versus passive.
Active versus passive.
Yeah. That one is like get in the car and do this or whatever, and the other one's like our product does this or whatever.
Is he right?
That's one way of looking at it.
All right. Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. The game is played on many different levels. Hey, this is a great show.
You're right, because I probably would have won every week if I had.
All right, show us the chart of the week, just for sugaring.
I'm giving up the name tip. I'm giving up
the chart of the week.
Can't believe I'm helping you with this.
What was that? I just heard something. What was that?
I don't know what that is.
I don't even know what that is. What is
ta-da.
that?
Like ta-da!
Oh, ta-da! Okay, chart of the week. Daily deal sites, gross revenue growth. Let me take a look at this here. This is Yipit. Yipit's always got this really good information. So Groupon had daily deal sites gross revenue growth. Gross revenue would be how much money they make in gross, right? Not their take, but the total money in the door. And it says Groupon had $135 million in the door in the month of August, which puts them on over a $1.5 billion run rate. And they went up 6%. 6% on 135 is $8 million more that month. Now, LivingSocial, starting from a smaller number, a third of the amount, $44 million, $50 million basically, went to 59. So they were up 32%, or 6 plus 9 is 14 million. So they grew 14 million compared to Groupon's growth of only 8 million a month. But 8 million a month is growth of 100 million a year, and LivingSocial's growth of 15 million more or so, 14 million more, is growth of 60 million a year. So I think this tells me that LivingSocial isn't in all markets yet and still doesn't have as deep penetration and as big of a sales team. But 6% on a bigger number is still not more. So it's pretty clear that LivingSocial had the better month in terms of growth. But hey, Groupon's totally respectable. Anything you get anything out of this chart? What do you think of this chart? Does this tell you anything? Have you bought a Groupon in the last 90 days? You care about Groupon?
I did. Oh, I bought the Froman's Deli one about 2 months ago.
Oh, and you used it?
I haven't used it.
Huh.
That's
my breakage. Breakage.
I think that's the problem. Is people are starting to realize they don't always
use them.
Don't always use them.
Well,
I did a Fandango one too, and I ended up not using.
Look at this. Wary of the intense scrutiny they've received since their IPO filing, Groupon announced they will stop disclosing on the site how many vouchers users have purchased of the deal. So lame. So lame. That's part of what makes Groupon. Is showing the number of deals sold. Oh, that is a terrible decision. This is what happens when you get your...
Does Google show how many
Yeah, they're showing, yeah.
They do?
What's happening is, I think, because they're under such scrutiny, they are feeling so beat up that they're going to change what got them there. Now, sometimes what got you to point A is not going to get you to point B, but I think it's a part of the culture to show. Maybe they should just show that it broke 1,000. That's what they should do. They should say this is a gold, platinum, or diamond deal. And gold deals break 1,000, platinum deals break 2,000, and diamond deals break 3,000. Just take the focus off the exact number. From August to September, Groupon's gross revenue increased 6%, and the same period was. I still think this is a huge category. When you see this kind of growth numbers month over month, but in truth, August is supposed to be a slow month. But I wonder if there's a seasonality that August is not a slow month, because if people are off, wouldn't they be more apt to buy deals because they have more free time? Interesting.
Right.
This is still a great emerging space. What do you think, Kirin?
LivingSocial had the Whole Foods deal. That's also what drove this.
Ah, that's a big piece of it. That might be $5 million of their growth.
Right.
And that, by the way, is growth where you're selling $20 bills for $10. In other words, it's growth that you may not want. Although, yeah, and now Groupon has also said they're going to just straight up stop spending on marketing and build off their existing lists.
That's maybe Whole Foods ate that.
You want to know what's going to happen?
Not the.
You want me to tell you what's going to happen to Groupon?
Sure.
Groupon will be sold to Google in the next 18 months.
Why?
For $10 billion.
Why?
8, 9, 10 billion. Because I think what's going to happen is the management team over there.
More than the 6 they originally offered.
Yes, 50% more. 9 billion. I'll tell you what. Groupon is.
Yeah, is this based on pure gut, or you have some Jake sauce going on?
I don't know that. Let's just call it a prediction. If I have inside information and I call it a prediction, I look like a genius.
Sure.
It's the story of my career. I mean, we used to have this at Silicon Valley Reporter. I would put somebody on the cover of the magazine because Fred Wilson would tell me he just invested, but he hadn't announced it. They would be on the cover of the magazine, and then people would find out next month that, because back then it wasn't like people knew immediately. You would just hear rumors that somebody raised money. It wasn't like it came out immediately. It wasn't like this constant blogging and tweeting and spreading of news. You'd hear it at cocktail party. Oh, did you hear these guys? Or somebody would email you. So anyway, point being, people started to associate that the cover of Silicon Valley Reporter got you funding, as opposed to the fact that funding got you the cover. Because I would look to the VCs and I would look to those guys as, hey, if they're validating this, it's important. I mean, we still put things on there that were quixotic and different. And Richard Metzger was on the cover, and we had filmmakers on the cover. We had all kinds of different people we would put on the cover who had nothing to do with money. But we would certainly put Cosmo on, knowing they were just landed a big round, or other people. So people had but anyway, the reason they're going to get bought is because the management team at Groupon and the employees, they're going to get a little tired of this unrelenting scrutiny. On the other hand, Google is going to be desperate for growth, right? And this is a big money maker. If this is at $1.5 billion already, that's half of what YouTube is making, and they're making $7 billion a quarter. Google, $7 billion a quarter in revenue equals $28 billion a year.
Yeah.
You add $1.5 billion to that. Hey, guess what? That's 6%.
But
how often do you have a chance to increase your sales by 6%? And you take out all of the cost of Groupon when Google puts you on the homepage or Google puts you in the search results.
Yeah, I just plugged in my screen. Then let me ask you this, because
So anyway, my basic thesis is Google can take out 50% of the cost basis of Groupon or a third of the cost basis of Groupon, make it wildly profitable, pass that on to Groupon in a bigger $9 billion offer.
Can you pull my screen up? So
Sure.
how do you respond to this? They have available now.
Yeah.
What is that?
What this is
15, and
this
they're
is-
adding another 25.
This is a high-stakes game of poker. Google is sitting down at the poker table, and they've got a big stack because they're a big company with a lot of resources. And Groupon is over there with their big stack. And there's a bunch of other people sitting at the poker table who are like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is going to get crazy. And now what you have is everybody gets dealt their cards, and Google releases another thing, and they push some chips in the middle, and Groupon has to sit there and go, oh God, now we're competing against here. And at some point, they say, listen, let's put our two stacks together, and we'll beat everybody else at the table. And LivingSocial's there. And you can be sure that Groupon and Jeff Bezos is sitting there now, Amazon, and Bing is sitting there now, they're getting to deals. Facebook got up from the table, they said, we don't want to be part of this nonsense, because they don't feel they have a competitive advantage, fine. They all discuss it. Some people are going to say, you know what, I fold. I'm out of this hand. Put my chips with your chips, and I'm ensured that when the tournament's over, there's going to be two players left standing. I want to be with one of those two. And at what point do you get out of the hand with maximum outcome in terms of shareholder value? And that's what's going on now. It's a high-stakes game. It's the same game that Google played with Yelp, which was we're going to buy you, or we're going to compete with you. And that game has now gotten to the point where raise, re-raise, raise, we're going to buy Zagat, we're going to push you down the page, Jeremy of Yelp going to Congress, with all the goods and antitrust. I mean, that's a game that's gotten out of control.
Yeah.
They should have settled that a long time ago. It would have been so easy. If I was Google, I'd say, we're going to license for 5 years or 10 years Yelp results and put you in it. You are going to put on your pages our advertising network. We're done. Marissa or whoever was doing that deal, that Google deal team, I think actually not Marissa, they screwed up. They should have just settled that deal. We'll buy you, or we'll license your content for X amount of money, and we'll give you, 80, 90% of the ad revenue on your pages to build out and protect Google's network. Google screwed that one up big time because they really pissed off the founders over there. They feel very disrespected by Google, just like I do in some ways because of what happened with the Panda update. And this is where Google's sort of big footprint is getting in the way.
I might have this wrong, but I thought...
They're bumping into a lot of people unnecessarily, Google.
Sure. But when Groupon, the deal didn't happen, they asked Groupon, why didn't you take the money, right? Everyone and their brother saying, why didn't you take the money?
It's stock answer.
Their answer wasn't, number wasn't big enough. Their answer was, we didn't want to put our team into, we didn't want to put that on our team to have to join Google.
Everybody is in this game for the same reasons. They want to change the world? Yes. They want to make a bunch of dough? Yes. They want power, and they want status, and they want to build a great team. All of those are factors. And so when you turn down an offer, it's that all of those 5, 6, 7 factors are not aligning. Those factors can align if the number becomes high enough. Where you'd say, you know what, I am putting my employees inside that company. And the employees are going to hate working at Google. The other 18,000 people seem to love working at Google and the free lunches. I don't think the Groupon people are going to mind working at Google. But if they feel there's a big opportunity still, that's why they're going to keep growing. When they've realized there's not a big opportunity, if they realize there's not a big opportunity, which there still is, and they realize they're outcompeted and that this Google is not going away, that's when they'll fold their hand. And Groupon and LivingSocial, at some point, the number will be big enough for them to get up from the table. Or the competition will scare the hell out of them, or some combination of that. And that's what Google is doing. This is an ongoing negotiation with Groupon. It's an ongoing dance, and it is not over. I guarantee you Google buys Groupon.
Okay, I know you well enough that this is info you got.
I don't have it on any of them.
It's got to be.
Yes, Kirin.
Is Groupon going to go public before this happens?
I would say that the acquisition will occur plus or minus 6 months from an
now
IPO.
This is interesting. Maybe the whole part of the big holdup on the IPO is the fact that there's this back channel talk going on. That's what you found out.
Anything's possible.
That's what he knows.
But generally what happens is people will go public. That is like a raise in poker as well. We'll go public. Our price will go up. We'll have a currency to buy competitors. We will have the public enamored with us.
This is why they haven't IPO'd yet. Okay.
Well, the IPO waters are muddy right now because the market was in disarray because of the Greeks.
Okay.
And by the way, since we're off topic, I just want to say to the Boston police and the New York police, it is Americans' right to protest. You cannot beat people up just because you're wearing a uniform. I am incredibly disappointed. I have members of law enforcement in my family. Chill the F out. Let people protest. It is their right as an American to protest. And that is what you are as well. And by the way, you are one of the working class, which is getting screwed. And they're protesting the fact that you're getting screwed. So you really are only shooting yourself in the foot by beating them up or not treating them with the same regard you would treat to your own children or cousins or brothers, because that's who they are. Stop beating up protesters. It's ridiculous. And let them protest. That's what America is built on. That's why we're all here and not living in another country like France or I don't know where else. China.
They've got protesting down.
Well, yeah, they got. That's another thing. That's the Muslims who don't feel like they're being incorporated into society. If you arrest people and don't give them their right to protest, you're confirming to them that they are not welcome in the society and that they are not part of the society and they're not valued in the society. Let them protest. If they want to cross a bridge, let them cross the bridge. If they want to sleep in a park, let them sleep in the park. As long as they're not hurting on anybody or defecating on police cars, which kind of happened. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that?
No, I don't know that I want to see that.
No, you're going to see it. You're going to see it. This is I think this is a Republican did this. I think this is a Fox newscaster did this.
Are they changing the hashtag to defecate Wall Street?
No, look. Here you go. I don't think that's too graphic to show on the program, but anyway, this is obviously an anchor for Fox who did this to get the story. No, I'm joking.
Right.
But I don't know who this dude is, but I mean, it is turning into Trash Central, and it's starting to look like Greece or it's starting to look like Paris. If you don't give people the right to protest, and you beat them with batons, and you spray them with pepper spray, police officers and city officials who are ordering the police and police captains, somebody's going to get hurt. And then there's going to be riots, and then there's going to be Molotov cocktails, and there's going to be bricks thrown, and this is going to get really serious, and then it's really going to tank the economy because corporations are going to become scared. And when they get scared, they stop spending and lay people off. You are tempting fate. One person, like those poor women who got sprayed unjustly, who could be your sisters, mothers, or cousins, you get one of those people gets blinded or permanent eye damage, or somebody gets hurt, a broken arm or something like that, or, God forbid, somebody gets killed accidentally because you swing your baton a little too hard, or maybe they've already got some aneurysm in their head, and one person dies, it's going to turn into an all-out bloodbath. And I told you this, remember we were in Europe, and I said, this is going to be America in a couple of years.
You know what this reminds me of?
What does it remind you of, Tyler?
A Chinese trademark.
Okay, we're going to finish up. And Jose is coming on next for This Week in Web Design. And if you haven't watched Jose work, This Week in Web Design, Ryan, the producer of it, who's really an excellent producer, has taglined the show, Watch Us Work. And you get to see actual web design and programming and wireframing. I watch this program because I'm learning so much, and I like to build stuff. Mm-hmm. But anyway, you said this is like a Chinese trademark, mm-hmm. which means it's worthless. Because in China, they don't respect trademarks.
No, it's a mess.
Oh, it's a mess. Yes.
Yeah.
It is a cluster F.
Yeah.
And I'm only saying this because I am the official voice of reason in the world.
The meaning is nebulous.
Listen. Of all the people you know, mm-hmm. if you had to say,
I have a great idea actually. You know what I want to do?
Here, you want a live broadcast?
No,
from there?
No. Here's what I want to do.
From Zuccotti Park?
No, I was thinking about this in the shower yesterday. This is a Tyler shower thought.
Yeah.
It's a new segment.
New shower thought?
Yeah. What it is what it really gets down to is the corporate greed thing, right? So this is for startups. We're bringing this back into the startup realm.
Right. No, this is related to startups.
No, I get you. But here I really want to bring it into startup land.
Okay.
What we really could use is radical transparency on which politicians are getting money from which corporations and how much. And then we have a leaderboard, and you say,
Yeah, that's already been done.
Number one most contributed, and then you publicly shame everyone down there on
By the way,
asks for their head.
did you
Hold
hear?
on, no, I'm on page 2. Then everyone down there at Occupy Wall Street calls for that guy's head, and we make a public example of politicians who take funding, and the corporation in turn gets boycotted.
Okay.
Flat out boycott that corporation who funded.
Tyler, once again,
you do both.
You are ahead of the curve.
Everyone who's running realizes when they have that opportunity to take that money, it has to become we have to make an example of people who take money and give money into Washington.
Today, it escalated to the protesters have left Wall Street to go on a millionaire march, which is really a billionaire march. Listen, there's no need to march on the millionaires, okay? Take it easy on that. Let's march on the billionaires. Those are the guys who are screwing you. The billionaire march, they're going to go to not Zuckerberg's house, Rupert Murdoch's house.
He's on their side.
I don't know that he's on Fox News.
He's the one saying, "Please tax me." Like
that's true.
He's the one saying, "Fix this mess." Like tax me.
No, I think that you're thinking of
Warren Buffett.
I'm thinking of Warren Buffett. You're right.
But they're both old dudes with gray hair.
Yeah, okay.
And billionaires.
Forgive
me. But no, I think
that.
that actually, I know Rupert Murdoch is pro-Obama. I talked to him about it. I mean, I think he's very much in favor of a little bit higher taxes for the rich. But now, this is becoming Marie Antoinette. These are sophisticated protesters. They understand that they're going to get one thing accomplished by going to Wall Street. They're going to get a whole nother series of things accomplished by going to people's houses. If these folks want to really start effing with people and really have their message heard, you put 500 people outside somebody's condo. I mean, the news is not giving these guys enough press, because to have 100 people or 200 people show up outside the door of people's houses in New York City on the weekend when they're taking their kids out to brunch, whatever, they're going to make them leave the city. These people are going to flee for their lives, and rightfully so. And this shows how big of an issue the polarization of wealth is, and how big of an issue the unfair taxes are. The rich must pay more taxes, and the poor must pay less.
It's not just that. The reason they're paying less is because they're doing the lobbying.
Right, and they've lobbied themselves into a corner. And the rich are now saying, we made a mistake. Tax us. There's no rich person who can't afford to pay a little bit more tax. There's no corporation that can't afford to pay a little more tax. And there are poor people who should pay less tax.
Just the policies need to be fixed that separate corporate money from governance.
That's a meta issue. I'm talking about
that's the core. That's it.
No,
but that can be changed in one.
Tyler, that's the mechanic.
Yeah,
that's the mechanics of it.
Yes.
But the core issue, you're talking about how the fire was made, how the fire is going to be put out, whatever.
You can fix that.
Right. How the vandalism occurred. I'm talking about the core issue, which is just anybody who makes under $20,000 a year.
About the symptom.
Anybody who makes under $50,000 a year should pay a flat rate of 10%. Anybody who makes over $1 million a year should pay a flat rate of 35%. And then everybody in between something.
You'd still have
and no more loopholes. Enough. Anyway,
but that's just the tax.
This is a serious message. If you know anybody in law enforcement and in the cities that are affected, please tell them, chill the F out, and treat these protesters with kindness, because we are on the verge of having an all-out war in the United States, and it is not hyperbolic to say that. In Greece, in the Middle East, when unemployment gets to untenable levels and people feel this disenfranchised, they start throwing large, heavy objects, and sometimes they're lit on fire. It's going to get to the point where Americans are killing Americans over the inequity in the tax law. Fix it, and don't beat up protesters. Thank you, GoToMeeting. Thank you, Squarespace. Thank you, Kevin from Instagram. Thank you, Kirin, for reading the story. And stay tuned for Jose. We're going to leave the microphones up. We'll talk some more about these important issues. Thank you for tuning into This Week in Startups. We had a little rant today. Jose is ready to go. We're not doing any switching studios, right? He's just walking in here. Small switch. Everybody stay with us. Don't go anywhere, anybody. This is where we could eat wine. All right. how to build your skills to become one of the 1%?
Yes.
Love it.
About how we're starting a revolution.
Start a revolution, a skill-based revolution. It's true. Now, I have one trip today, right? Not two.
I know we're doing web design right now. They're recording this. Yeah. But, these are done right
Jose is not going to be switching himself today?
If you guys want to leave the, oh no, we do need the whiteboard.
I just like it as a set, so there's.
No, but we do need it. Like, literally need it.
Will we will it in? Sure.